Have you done scientific research? If so, what was it?
Abby and I actually did our senior project together, and we used a nanomaterial that we made to strengthen plastics. Basically, we would make our nanomaterial in the lab, and then we'd mix it into different plastics and make them stronger. So you can imagine just taking kind of like glue from like Home Depot or something, mixing in our nanomaterial, and suddenly it's twice as strong, and you can now use it to do a lot more things. In undergrad, I worked in 3 different research groups, kind of all over the place. I've done a lot of pretty random stuff. The one I worked in at NC State was focused mostly on stretchable fibers and soft robotics. So that's a fancy way of saying just making like typical headphone wires, things like that, into stretchable and kind of shapeable things.
I have done research before in chemistry using computational methods to help determine how molecules would behave or react.
I actually also worked in Boulder, Colorado on light-based 3D printing materials. So those are really cool things that when you have kind of like a bath of liquids and you shine some light on it, some lasers, and they solidify and you can get really cool shapes.
So I get to do experiments here down on Earth in a lab that give us insight about what's going on at the center of stars and stellar explosions that are literally happening light years away. It's amazing.
Can I say what I will be doing? Okay. I'm particularly working on Polarons, which is let me see if I can figure out a good way.
Explain it to me. What's a polaron?
Cool.
I don't actually know what that is.
A polaron is 2 very strongly interacting particles. So one of them you'll be very familiar with is called the electron, and that can charge our phone. The other thing is called a phonon, and it's like a quantized lattice distortion. You can think about the lattice of atoms kind of vibrating, and you can pass through the material. And when these 2 kind of particles interact very strongly, and what do we mean by interact very strongly? They talk a lot. You can give an analogy where the electron is a boat in the sea, and usually the sea is very calm, and there's a few waves, which is the phonon, and it kind of bumps it every so often in its course, but it still gets there. But now there's this huge kind of turbulence, and everything's kind of swirling around, and we can't treat the boat and the waves separately. We have to treat it as one thing. And the study of these polarons in materials, such as perovskites, is very interesting, and how maybe it could lead to a new theory of high temperature superconductivity.
I also worked at Harvard last summer working on hitchhiking on different cells to fight cancer. So basically we made these cool little particles that we called backpacks, and we attach them to cells, and then we inject them into cancer sites, and that allows the cells to fight cancer better. In grad school, I'm hoping to focus on developing things like vaccines to fight different diseases. And another area I'm really interested in is regenerative medicine. So that is kind of like the backpack project, doing things that allow the body to heal itself more effectively.
So gold nanorods in the stuff that I have worked on aren't specifically used for their energy properties, but I take those rods and put them in plastic and try to see if I can break that plastic down quicker with the gold nanorods. So when you shine a light just the correct light onto these gold nanorods, that light will focus on the gold nanorods and essentially generate a lot of energy in the form of heat.
Another thing I've been doing during quarantine is I bought myself a 3D printer, and I've been kind of learning how to use it and getting better at that.